Hi, how are you? Welcome back. Now in this video we're going to compare the difference between the 60 grit gray wheel, 80 grit white wheel, 80 grit CBN wheel, and also 180 grit CBN wheel. And hopefully by the end of this video you have a better understanding the difference, but also potentially maybe saving some money. So for those of you that watched my unboxing video of this new grinder here, you are familiar with this setup here. So this is sort of a preparation for my signature lineup of tools. So I still have to get platforms for this here, although I can use it only resting here, but it's a little bit more convenient and consistent with the platform. Anyway, so two grinders here, both of these are 8-inch. Obviously, due to use, this gray wheel is slightly smaller in diameter, but this white one is brand new almost, so it's 8-inch give or take. CBN wheels, this is 80 grit and this is 180 grit. So there is no denying that CBN wheels are sort of a step above from these old friable stones here. The first thing is heat. Heat can ruin our tools, high-speed steel tools, so you have to be careful about that. Although high-speed steels, if you get any color on the tip, usually if you don't dunk it into water, it should be okay. So if you just let it cool down naturally, of course it's always better to avoid it if you can, so CBN wheels are great for that. Also, another plus for CBN wheel is they never change the diameter. So for let's say most of hobby turners, this will probably last you a lifetime. You won't have to change those or anything, dress them, maybe occasional cleanup. I think there are sticks that you can buy especially for CBN cleanup, although I don't have it. So these were pretty much the standard maybe 20-30 years ago. Gray wheel, white wheel, maybe pink, blue, maybe those came a little bit later. Just sum things up, if you're just starting out, there is no necessity that you have to buy CBN wheels. Usually the setup will come something like this, with a finer white wheel and coarser gray wheel, and that's perfectly fine. Again, it can help you out with the pressure, with the light touch that then again will transfer to the lathe. Even if you're using a jig will just help you control the movement. You still have to be careful about the pressure, so if you put more pressure on the wings, you could make a divot and stuff like that. So yeah, so jigs are great, but they still can introduce a human error, and you have to be careful. So again, CBN wheels are a great addition, upgrade, but again, it's not necessary. So again, they have benefits like staying true, they last a long time, they disperse the heat a little better, and they're just great addition, let's say, or upgrade, but again, it's not necessary. So in this video, I'm planning on showing you the difference with the Skew on pine, and I'm going to show you how I sharpen on each of these four wheels, only for the first tool. For the rest, just to keep on time, a little bit down on the video, so it's not that long. I'm just going to put on the screen and say in the video which grit is sharpened with. So without any further ado, let's go to the lathe. I have here a nice chunk of pine, and what I'll do is just first throw it up real quick. And I'm going to put 4 steps. A little bit more. Just removing any lumps or irregularities. So what I'll do is just divide this into roughly 4 same space. Okay, so that's just the rough steps, and here we're going to use 60 grit gray wheel, then 80 grit white wheel, 80 grit CBN wheel, and 180 grit CBN wheel, and this will be sort of side-by-side comparison of the surface and how the tool is reacting. So this is the disadvantage, let's say. You have to chew these friable wheels pretty much all the time. So now this platform is really flimsy, and you can't adjust it, let's say, to a really nice angle. It has a step, so it's not really great for using, but what I do use it for is armrest like this, and I'm just going to use it, hold the Skew in my hand. Again, light touch, only weight of the tool. So have nice edge, actually a little bit more. Now I'm all the way up to the edge, and I'll do the other side. So it doesn't look great. This side, again, I'm not using the platform, so it has a multifacets, but you'll see that this doesn't make too much of a difference. So here we are now at the lathe. This is 60 grit field, let's say. It does have a burr here, but that burr will break off as soon as you use the tool. And again, you can see the shavings here. Bear in mind that if you look the edge under the microscope, then of course this won't be perfectly nice sharp edge, let's say. Under the microscope it will be sort of a serrated edge, just because the 60 grit in the wheel. However, it does the job great, you'll see here. But what I'll do also is roll a bead. I'm just going to make myself a little bit more clearance here, so I can roll a bigger bead to get a little better bead, let's say. And I'll stop here. So I hope you can see. Let's take a look here at the bead here, or half bead. So you can see that's really nice and clean. There is no tear out or anything, and that will sand very nicely and quickly. The flat area here also is really nice. Slightly, I would say, rougher texture on this really wide open grain here, but really that's not noticeable at all. So that's 60 grit gray wheel. So let's go to 80 grit white wheel. I might block the camera, I hope I won't, but again, light touch. So that side is done. And this side is done. So I have a burr here again, And just to show you a little closer, so this side again has a little few facets more than usually, but this side is a little bit better. I'm looking at the top edge, and again this is really nice and sharp skew. So let's go to the lathe. So we are now at this second step. It's a slightly smaller diameter, so I'll drop the rest slightly down. Again, I'm getting nice shavings. Like so, and again I'll just make a little clearance here to roll that bead slightly deeper. Brought you a bit closer, so if anything, there is slightly more shine here on the bead where we have the end grain exposed, but not by much. Hope you can see that's a really nice surface. Here on the flat, yeah, really nice surface again, without any issues to start sanding with 240 grit even, so that won't be an issue here. So let's go to 80 grit CBN wheel. We're here now at 80 grit CBN wheel, and hopefully I won't block the camera. So I got one facet all the way up to the edge, and I can feel the burn on the other side, which tells me that there is. And again, this is not comfortable for me. Usually I would stand to the left of but I can't get the camera on this side, so I'm doing this with my left hand, which is something that I usually don't do. And again, that's pretty good. I feel the burr on this side, which tells me that I've reached the edge. So let's go to the lathe again. So again, what I'll do is put a little relief here, and the speed is 1600 RPM, just to clarify that. And let's roll a bead. Again, I'll drop the rest slightly. And I'll just clean it up. Like so. So again, just to show you on a closer look here. So again, half bead here, really nice and clean. And if we go here on the flat area, you can see that's looking really, again, really nice. So let's go to the final step here, which is 180 grit. 180 grit here, the platform is already set. Now, since I don't have platforms on other three wheels, I did change the angle slightly, so just spend a little more time. Just a few seconds more. Okay, that's good. Let's do the other side. Now, I hope you can see that I'm taking the middle only, so I need to spend a little bit more time. Yeah, and yeah, so this now is after a few minutes nice and sharp. I did have to reestablish the angles because on the other three, like I said, I don't have the platform, so I did mess up the angle a little bit, and you can see with the platform we get really nice results. Now 180 grit is a nice fine CBN wheel, and it doesn't produce a very big burr. So again, it's sharper because sharpness is two faces, these two faces at an angle meeting up at a fine point. Now finer the grit, of course you're going to get a sharper edge. If you hone this, use let's say water stones or something like that, you can get this up to really nice polish and really nice sharp edge, but it's not necessary, let's say, for wood turning, and you'll see that throughout the video. Finally, we have the smallest here diameter or step. Again, I'll just drop the rest ever so slightly, same speed and everything. Now there is some difference that I can tell you immediately from these rougher wheels and this one here. This just glides or cuts a little bit easier, let's say. And that's really nice bead here. So again, I hope you can see a really nice polished edge here, or half bead. Now if I would have something to measure the shine, let's say this might be slightly shinier than this one here. I'm not sure if you can notice the difference. So a little bit more shine here. The surface is again nice and clean, and this flat spot on all four is pretty much the same. I don't see any difference throughout these four steps here. Now for sanding, we always sand our work after the tools, unless it's something that specific, but we usually always sand, and there is no point in getting maybe shinier surface than this or cleaner surface than this, although I don't see how you can get cleaner surface than this. So again, there's no point in going further with the finer wheels unless you want to remove. So now to conclude on the Skew here, other than this little bit more shine on the surface here, it's pretty much the same looking on all four steps here. What I would add to 180 grit CBN is that it glides easier through the wood as it's sharper. Again, 180 grit, it's sharper edge than the rest here three. So that there is no denying on that. However, we always sand our work later. So if you get this 80 grit surface here, and this here, really doesn't matter. These are really nitpicking, let's say. And now, some may say, so if you're using 600, you'll get even better surface. Yes and no. I don't have a 600 grit CBN wheel, but what I imagine, maybe this surface maybe get a little bit shinier. But other than that, I don't see how this flat area will get any better. So you're just taking extra step, let's say in sharpening, and you're not getting maybe all those benefits, let's say. These 180 and 80 grit will sharpen your tools a little bit faster than 600 grit. And again, 600 grit is expensive wheel, so if you want to get only one CBN wheel, what I'm seeing here, 180 grit is a great middle. Let's say you'll get a really nice tool finish, and the tool itself is really nice and sharp, and yeah, so that's on the Skew here. Although I don't usually hone Skew, this is 1200 diamond hone, and what I'll do is just quickly hone the edge. So just place it first on the heel and then raise until you get to the top edge, and just keep that angle and just go over the edge, entire edge. This doesn't take long. So again, now this is really sharp. Just move the burr from this side as well. So again, this is now really sharp. There is no denying that. And let's go to this field here. And let's roll a bead, but I'll raise the rest slightly so it's a little bit more comfortable for me. And I'll just remove this fuzz here. And let's see this surface now. Okay, so brought you in a bit closer so we can assess the surface here on a honed step here. And what I can tell you right from the start is the shine on the half bead here. It's a really nice pristine surface, and it's a little bit more shinier than the smallest step here from 180 grit CBN wheel. But does that really matter? This really shiny surface, again, we have to sand anyway after, and the spindle, let's say in this case. So getting this, unless it's a tool finish, I don't see a point. So the flat area here, again, it's pretty much the same as the flat area on the 180 grit here, the smallest step. So to sum things up on Skew here and the difference between the different grits here, and I hope you can see the surface. So going through from the largest to the smallest, and the shine, let's say, on the end grain here on the half bead. So again, my preferred method for sharpening Skew is 180 grit CBN wheel. It just glides through the wood a little bit easier without too much resistance, let's say. Not that with let's say 80 grit or 60 grit it's difficult to cut. It's not, but it's a little bit easier, let's say, with 180 grit here. In terms of surface, these are pretty closely matched. Again, with the honed here, I don't get too much benefits that I would hone Skew all the time. So only if I'm lazy to go to a grinder, I would hone the Skew. But other than that, I like the surface or the Skew profile straight from the 180 grinder here, CBN wheel, sorry. Using is this bow gouge. This is 16 mil diameter asymmetric grind, and it's sharpened on a gray wheel 60 grit. So again, I'll use it on this top, and I'll make a nice shear cut. And I'll show you the surface. So I hope you can see the surface here. It's really nice. There's no tear out. It's nice, shiny. And what I'll do is just go to 80 grit white wheel. Again, put a fresh edge on, and we're going to see if it makes any difference here on the next step. This is now 80 grit white wheel. Again, we'll do a nice shear cut. I should get it a little bit parallel, let's say. So again, not sure how much you will be able to see, but it's a really nice surface. And let's go to 80 grit CBN wheel. And this is now 80 grit CBN wheel. And let's do the same thing. Yeah, that's really nice, but I can't tell the difference, and I'll show you this brother out, that there is much difference between these three here. So for the last one, I'll go to CBN 180 grit, and we'll see if there is any difference here. And finally, this is 180 grit CBN wheel. And let's see that surface. Again, really nice. 60 grit, 80 grit, white wheel, 80 grit CBN wheel, and 180 grit CBN wheel. And you tell me if you see any difference at all. So all the surfaces here look pretty much the same. Again, since this is sharper edge, it does glide, let's say, slightly easier, but I don't see much in terms of this going straight across, if there is any difference here. So what I'll do quickly is just put a rough shape ball here, and we'll do the hollowing, and we'll do the same on the inside, see if there is any difference on the really bad surface on the, or the worst surface that you can get on the inside on those two opposite places. Rough this out and make another 4 steps. Okay, so I have each step for 60 grit, 80 grit, 2 and 180 grit for the last one. And what I'll do is just again quickly sharpen on a 60 grit, and we'll do the top lip. And I'll do the 80 grit. I'll do this real quick, and then I'll show you the final results. This is 80 grit white wheel. I'll go one more time. There was one slight hiccup. There we go. And 80 grit CBN wheel. So this is 80 grit CBN wheel. Let's go one more time. And finally 180 grit. 180 grit CBN wheel. And for the last step here, and let's see if there is any difference. So let's see here. So we are looking at the left side. We are not looking this here. That's really rugged. That's from nose of the gouge, but we are looking here the surface left behind here. And let's see the 60 grit here. Again, really nice. Few tool marks. You can see here sort of a burnish mark, and that is no problem. Let's see the 80 grit white wheel. Again, I don't see the difference, and if I place here where the burnish mark is, you can see all four surfaces looks the same. I don't see any difference. Let's go to polished surface on the side grain, which is here, or sorry, not side grain, but this is where we are slicing in grain, and that leaves the best surface. That way you have the polished, a few areas polished, and you can see all four are really nice, the same. So in terms of, again, cutting qualities, the 180 grit just glides a little bit easier, but I don't see any difference. And the reason maybe why you should be going to 600 grit or even finer grit for gouges. And again, we have to sand after anyway, so why go to that extra step of polishing the edge, getting it extremely sharp, when 60 grit straight from the wheel, gray wheel, does the job really nicely. So is this a definitive guide on which CBN wheel grit to buy? Of course not. Again, I have different wheels for different purposes. So gray wheel for rough shaping, white wheel for other bits of metal, but also for rough shaping tools. And I have 80 grit CBN wheel that does slightly slower rough shaping, let's say, but doesn't overheat tool, doesn't produce much heat at all. And I have 180 grit to finalize the edge, let's say, and gives, to me at least, the perfect edge that I need, at least in my work. So by all means, if you have a guild or a wood turning club near you, they probably have all the different setups there, and you can test this out for yourself. Again, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, of course, but I don't just see the need of buying a ton of wheels when only, let's say, when I'm giving advice, when somebody asks for advice which CBN wheel to buy first, I always say go to 180 grit, and you always have with the grinder the gray wheel, rough wheel for rough shaping, and then you have 180 grit to finalize, get the final nice sharp edge. So hopefully this video will help you out a bit, and see you in the next one.